When the primary is over, why some Republicans start telling the truth.
Blogging pod starts like a conversation. Cup of coffee with no destination. Just voices trying to understand what's happening across this land. From your stories told to the pages turned. Every question, every word, supported by SheSharesStudios.net.
Hello, and welcome to the Vlogging Pod. Tonight, we're going to talk about something that has become increasingly noticeable in American politics, especially over the last year or two. Have you ever noticed that some politicians suddenly become more outspoken once they no longer have to survive a primary election? Once they announce retirement, or once they no longer have to worry about elections?
Yeah.
Have you seen that lately, Laura?
Yes, I have, and I'm like,
I know I've been seeing quite a bit of it in my feed lately. And tonight's core question is, are some Republicans willing to speak openly once they are no longer have to survive a primary? So now, before we go any further, here's my disclosure. This is not about saying every Republican feels this way. It's also not about claiming every criticism being made is automatically true.
right.
What we're looking at tonight is a pattern itself, because over the last several years, we've watched multiple Republicans, lawmakers become far more publicly critical of this administration, only after they have either lost political protection, stepped away from election, or no longer had to answer to primary votes. So, and honestly, I think that alone raises so many questions.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah?
Yeah. Just a few.
Yeah, just a few, right? It's surprising because, I mean, there are a few within the listing here that I've got, because I've got some quotes we're going to go over, which I thought you might find interesting from some Republicans that have now changed their tunes. And a few of them were running on the same boats that they had passed with this administration, agreeing with them. And now they've been taken out of the primary. So I don't know if that worked against them or for them, in whatever case you want to look at,
Right.
or for the opposite party. So, because of elected officials truly believe something is dangerous, unethical, or unconstitutional, or harmful to the country, shouldn't they say it while they're still in office and while their vote still carries political risk? I mean, the biggest one I think it would be Green, who stepped down. You know what I'm talking about when I talk about Green.
I don't. You can refresh my memory.
Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh yes. Okay. Now, yeah. I
Yeah.
know what you mean.
I have seen her on so many things now doing interviews for like more left leaning, you know what I mean, like news things and podcasts. I've even seen her on a lot more Republican podcasts, and I've seen a lot more right leaning podcasts actually coming out against a lot of procedures that have been going through this administration.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest one is that ballroom, but that's not what this podcast is about.
Uh.
Now, let's start with Thomas Massie. Thomas Massie lost his primary. You know who Massie is, right?
Yes.
Okay. So Thomas Massie lost his primary after becoming one of the more vocal Republican critics of the administration. Following the loss, he warned, this is interesting, the Republican Party could eventually face what he called Trump disappointment syndrome. Because you heard about the whole Trump syndrome that he has out, that this administration talks about. And so he calls it Trump disappointment syndrome, and announced intentions to continue politically in the future. Thomas Massie is also the one that signed the paperwork for the Epstein files to be released. And I've seen a lot of interviews lately where he said he would come to the floor of the House and release some more names. Because apparently there is some kind of law that if he releases names that are on not within a list, like, we all want the list.
Mhm.
We don't know if there's a list. We don't know as far as I know, I don't know if they have any sort of list, but names listed in the files. And apparently, there's some sort of law that he can do it on the House floor, that he won't get in trouble for it, get called out for liable or whatever. But
Mhm.
apparently, if he did an interview, yeah, that would probably happen. Interesting, right?
Right. Yeah. Makes you wonder, huh?
Mm. And I think this is where people begin asking the uncomfortable question. Was Massey always thinking this privately, or did losing political protection make it easier to say it publicly? Another one is, and I think I've been seeing quite a bit, Tillis was really against, oh, I'm trying to think of her name. They called her Ice Barbie.
Christina?
Yes, there you go, Christina. He was really against her and made some quite a bit of statements. And there was another one he was against too, and I can't remember his name. I can picture his face, but I can't think of his name. He announced not to seek reelection after opposing a major administration backed tax, and here we go, immigration bill tied to Medicaid concerns. He stated that independent thinking in Washington has become an endangered species. God, that's a really good quote. Uh, now, honesty, that statement alone says a lot because I mean that is a really good that independent thinking in Washington has become an endangered species. That really is a good quote.
It is.
Very
It
good.
really is.
Yeah, if I were writing a book, I'd highlight that.
Right?
Double underline that stuff. Because if independent thinking itself becomes politically dangerous inside a party structure, then people naturally begin wondering whether lawmakers are voting based on personal conviction or political survival. Tillis later became even more openly critical of administration officials and leadership decisions. Again, I think this is what catches public attention. Criticism becomes louder only once reelection pressures disappear. One of the most surprising examples, and I think we just mentioned her, was Marjorie Taylor Greene. For years, she was viewed as one of the administration's strongest allies. But more recently, like I said prior, she become more criticizing issues involving affordability, foreign policy decisions, transparency surrounding the Epstein related discussions before eventually stepping away from politically. I believe she has one of her things is saying that America first is one of her big things she's saying. And she's not the only one. There is another podcaster, and I cannot think of his name. I can think of the most horrible quote that he said, and I'm not sure I want to re-say it. And you might know who I'm talking about as soon as I said it.
I think I know who you're talking about. Yeah, let's not go ahead. Let's I mean,
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you know who I'm talking about. I have seen him in a lot of other podcasts lately saying to vote blue even if you don't like the representative in this next coming midterms, which is a drastic, now don't get me wrong, still not someone that I support, and I'm sure most people are like, "Who?" and why they're listening, but I'm not gonna go there. But I do
yeah.
find it interesting. And regardless of how people feel about Green, I think her shift caught people's attention precisely because she had once been viewed as a much stronger supporter. Another one is Senator John Cornyn, because another interesting example. Cornyn largely aligned himself publicly with the administration, but despite that, he still lost political ground inside the party. And I think that becomes more important because it shows even loyalty itself might not guarantee political safety anymore.
Mhm.
It's where people will begin asking whether fear inside primaries is now shaping political behavior more than an honest debate. I don't know. What's your thought, Laura?
I don't know. At one part of me after hearing all that is wanting to believe that they're truly voicing how they truly feel. But on the other hand, it's like, are you doing this because you have a problem with what they did to you, so now
Mm,
you're gonna flip on them? I mean, I just I want to believe that they're being genuine in what they're saying and speaking out against. But at the same time, I'm like, but you were saying this before." But I mean, that's very telling that even the strongest ally and supporter for what is being done is they're now singing a different tune. So maybe that ties back into the whole outraged and because it affects me now.
Yeah, like we were saying in another podcast, yeah.
Yes.
It's something I've been saying from the very beginning is that most people, maybe even it's in a political and it can be even said politically in this kind of environment, what we're talking about, is that most people don't speak up until it affects them. But in some of this, well, Tillis made a decision not to run. So maybe in him that it actually, maybe some of the decisions he's seen crossed the line for him. I wouldn't know. I can't speak for him.
Mhm.
But when people come out now, Massey, he was already a big component for the Epstein having those files come out. But there are some things he signed his name to that I would really call in question if you want to go back into his political career. And so, you know, you, you, you know what I'm saying? You got to weigh the good and bad. But I'll be honest with you, I would rather have them come out and talk about their doubt because maybe that will touch an interest of something that will shine more light on something that needs to come out and make a change where they're because when you have either Republican in the offices or you have Democrat, it needs to even out. There needs to be someone accountable for each set of parties. You know what I mean? So it doesn't go one too far one way, it doesn't go too far the other way. So when we talk about the representatives, let's talk about like Don Bacon and Tom Tillis were referenced as examples of Republicans who either stepped away from the reelection or became more willing to criticize the administration after deciding not to continue politically. And this is where the broader pattern begins to form. Because not just one person, not just one state, not just one disagreement. A repeated situation where criticism becomes safer once reelection pressure disappears. Now, to be fair, there are people who would argue the opposite. Some supporters would say these politicians are only speaking out now because they're bitter, politically wounded, or no longer aligned with voters inside their own party. And that's a fair argument too. But the larger question being asked tonight is if politicians only feel safe speaking honestly after they no longer fear losing power, what does that say about the current political environment itself? And as we're getting longer on that time, I know this one's a little bit shorter, guys, but today's sources come from The Guardian, Thomas Massey and Trump Disappointment Syndrome. I really love that one. ABC 11, Tom Tillis retirement announcement. New York Post, Tillis criticism of the administration officials. PBS, Marjorie Taylor Greene and breaks with the administration. Associated Press, John Cornyn primary coverage. Washington Post, Republicans stepping away after breaking with Trump. Thank you for listening. Until next time, bye-bye for now.